afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are here for the June 2016 Tabs3 virtual user group meeting. Wow, I almost had trouble getting that out there. Sorry we're late. We had a birthday cake emergency. Patty left without getting the birthday cake that she was supposed to take home, and so we've got that straight. We're here. We're ready to go. It's time to talk about tabs, and today we are talking about electronic billing, sometimes referred to as task-based billing. Mary Jo is going to give us all sorts of information on how that works, and I'm going to talk about something kind of cool called statement comments that lets you kind of hide notes to each other in your fee entries, and only you can see them. Now, before I get started, I want to mention real quickly that we will be talking about. We have gotten to the month. This is the month where version 15.3 has been sunsetted. So if you have version 15.3 and you are expecting to be able to call STI and get support, you won't be able to. That's what happened in June of 2016. So later on, we'll take a look at how to tell what version you do have, and we'll take a look at what to do to get it updated. But for now, start thinking about that. It has been sunsetted, and this is your last warning. We're going to stop talking about this month since it's happened. And here we are in tabs, and Mary Jo, take it away. Tell us about task billing or electronic billing.
Okay. So as Paul said, a lot of times if you're dealing with insurance companies that require you to upload statements to their website so that you can submit them for payment, that's what we call electronic billing, or in our system, task-based billing. Some of you may have seen when you go into a client this little checkbox on the Setup tab that says Task-Based Billing Client. You're probably thinking, what in the heck is that? So if you are in need of using that electronic billing feature where you're going to upload, there are certain codes that you have to have when you're putting fee and cost entries in. There's, for litigation, there's L codes. So there's a whole set of codes like L100, L101, L102, and they mean different things. Same thing if it's bankruptcy, I believe is B's. There are B codes, there's C codes, there's all kinds of different code sets that are predetermined. They're usually standard across the board, that if you use task-based billing client, will then make those codes available for you to choose when you're entering fee entries. So instead of a transaction code like we normally would have, that's a little shortcut that says, you know, whatever, conference with clients, whatever that would be, then if we have this box checked, we'll have that whole set replaced. Now, to see where those are, if I go into my setup, there's a whole thing here called task code sets and task codes. And if I look at my task codes, and I do my drop down here, here's some examples of those. So the A codes are activity codes, and then if I scroll down here, you'll see I've got some B codes, and then if I go a little further, there's E codes, which are our expenses. And then if we go a little further, there's our L codes. L codes are probably the most often used, but just depends on what you're doing. There's P and PA. There's all kinds of different ones in here. And again, these are almost always predetermined. You can set up other codes if you need to, but most of the time, these are preset right out of the box for what is the current list of codes that are used. So this is where you can see those codes. Once you have like A codes or E codes, you set those up. You can also tie them to a transaction code. There's all kinds of little setup things in here that you can do, but just know the codes are usually preset out of the box. So that is already in here. Once you set a client to be task bill, you can start entering time using those codes. It will then replace. Now I'm going to come into this one, and I'm just going to pick a client here. We're going to use number 100, and we're going to go over and change that to task-based billing. And I'll save it. And just to show you the difference, when I go in now to put in a fee entry for client number 100, I now have those boxes here for phase, task, and activity. So there's always a phase that you're in for that particular case, and you know, whatever that's case administration, whatever. And then also, depending on the client, you can limit what these task codes are based on a billing category. So if we have a billing category of litigation, I only show me the litigation codes over here. So I don't have to scroll through here and have somebody accidentally use a B code when they're supposed to use an L code. So that can be preset in there. Once you've determined what kind of a case this is, we can say, okay, litigation billing category always uses litigation codes. So I'm just going to come down and pick an activity code or a phase task. So let's just come down to the L's. Whoops, let me get into L here. So I'm just going to say that this is the case assessment phase. And then I'll say that the activity is research. And so now I've got this little research, and I can then type in anything else that I want to in my description field, telling what this is, and then how many hours worked I have, whatever that would be. And so you're still entering time basically the same, but then you are choosing these phase task activity. It's very important that you have these because most of the companies that you're going to be uploading to are going to require these. And I will make a little note here that all of the companies that you're going to be dealing with, whether it's you know, Serengeti or I mean, there's just a million different insurance companies out there. They're going to send you the requirements of what they need for you to set up. So if they are using Leads 98B or they're using a certain format that you need to upload in, they will tell you that, and they will tell you what fields are required. They will tell you what phase task activity codes. They will tell you all of that in a layout. I mean, they'll have a whole big several page document that's going to lay that out. And when you're getting ready to set this up, it's important to have that information so that we can help you get that put in there properly. The format that they're using to submit is the #1 thing that we need. Are they using Leads 98B, Leads 98B, or Leads 98 2000, or Leads, whatever it is? There's a million different ones out there. And we can usually accommodate all of them. I don't know that I've ever had a time where somebody had something that we couldn't get to work, whether it was a format that somebody else is using that's just been named that, or that Tabs creates a special format for us. Either way, we can get it so that it's going to submit properly for you. So don't be worried if when we look at this, you just see the list and your insurance company isn't on there. We can make it work. So the first step then is to make sure that the client is coded as task-based billing, that we check the box. We enter our time using those phase task and activity codes. And then we're just going to bill like we always do. We're going to prepare a final statement, and we're going to update the statement. Don't have to print it. We're just going to go out here and we're going to prepare our bill, final bill it, update the statement. Once we've done that, we also need to set up Task Bill. Now Task Bill is an add-on module that we have that will work with Tabs, and it takes a statement that we've already created and it converts it into a text document that then can be uploaded in the right format that the company that you're submitting to needs. So it's crucial that you have the Task Bill module to have all this work. If I were to just send this statement out to a text file, it's not going to work. It has to have this conversion piece in the middle. So I'm going to go into Task Bill. And this is what it looks like. It's pretty basic. There's only a few things that we do out here. And the first thing is that we configure it to be using the correct format that we need to upload for whatever insurance company that you need to upload to. So again, you'll have to know and have that document as to what format that they're going to be using. And just to show you, these are all of the ones that are out there that have been done already. And see all these litigation advisor, time metrics is another big one. All of these have been already done. And I don't want you to be fooled by what these are named, because Tabs names these by the first person that requests that particular format. So just because it says time metrics doesn't mean that time metrics is the only one that can use that format. But knowing what format you need, we can make it happen. We can find one that's already existing, or we can make one. So don't get hung up if, oh, they don't have mine. It doesn't matter. We can get it to work. 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be using like Leads 98B or Leads 2000, one of these. These are the standard, pretty much a lot of them use that. And then underneath that, there's also sub-formats that we can use within Leads 98 that can even further get the right fields in the right order for you. So we pick whatever that task bill format is that we need to use, and then there's some customization that we have to do, because Tabs doesn't always have all of the fields that we need to upload. So in this instance, on a statement, we don't have the law firm ID, and we might not have that invoice description or the client matter ID. Now this client matter ID is not the Tabs client matter ID. It is the client matter ID that whatever insurance company you're uploading to is using. So this could be a claim number, it could be something different, and again, that packet will tell you that. Same thing with invoice description. Some invoice descriptions are, final or draft or something like that. It's not necessarily, when we think of this, we're thinking of the work description of the client, and that's not what this is looking for. It's something specific that insurance company wants. So what we do is we tell it, where are we going to store that information? And I always recommend, let's use the custom field lines, because the custom field lines are built exactly for this. The only one that I don't use a custom field for is the law firm ID, because this one can be mapped right out to use the system configuration line that has the, let me get back to it, I'm sure I just passed it, that has the law firm ID already stored in there. So there is a system configuration, there it is right at the top, of course I missed it, field that you already put that firm ID in over there. So as long as you put in that federal ID for your law firm and system configuration, we can just map it right to that and say, hey, pull it out of there for me. That's where I need that from. And then custom 1 and 2 is what I'm going to use for the invoice description and the client matter ID. But for just so you know, all the other ones, there are several different custom fields that you can use. So up to 50 different custom fields can be defined in here. You also can use miscellaneous 1, 2, and 3, but a lot of times firms will add other information in there. So I don't want to mix that. If I'm going to use something for task bill, I want to be consistent with it. And so I usually, like I said, use the custom fields. But you also can do the beginning statement notes or the client notes lines. So all of those can also be used. The only thing with these is if you're using like line number 1 and then 6 and 10, it's harder to return and do that. But if I'm doing custom fields, I can just say custom field 1 is always this, custom field 2 is always this, and so on. So we have to have that defined as to where we're going to pull these 2 pieces of information from. The other part of the configuration that's important is this more config. You have to define each of the different timekeeper levels. Even if you don't have anything out there defined in tabs, you still need to map it to something. So in this instance, we probably don't. But we've said that this first one, see all of these are undefined here. So if I had senior partner and I had associate and I had paralegal and law clerk and secretary and other, all of those things would be the levels that I had defined in tabs. I then map them to something that corresponds over here. So if I'm looking at the leads timekeeper class, those are going to be, these will vary as to what format you're using too, but I can say that the partner is always going to be the level number 2, or the associate will be number, I would map this to associate, whatever that would be. And if you don't have one, then you always would just go down here and make that an other, right here, other timekeeper. So if you have mapped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but 7 and 8 are just blank, you would just put those over here to other timekeeper, even though there's nothing there. So just so you know, and again, we help you with all of these things, so it's nothing you have to really remember, but just know that's part of the process. Once this is configured, I save it. Now you can map all kinds of different areas too, because a lot of times if you're submitting bills electronically, you probably have several insurance companies that you're doing, and almost always every one of them uses something different. So one might use Leads 98, one might be a litigation advisor, and one might be time metrics. I can set up any of these to do the same thing. And every single one will have different requirements of things I might have to map. So in this one, time metrics might require that you need the name of the insured, a policy number, claim number, plaintiff name. All of these things, again, can be in custom field 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I can just go in and put those in custom fields. So just know these are all things that we can set up and we map out so that you set it up once, and then when you export and upload your bills, they always will come out how you need them to. So once you have this set up, you've prepared your bills and you've updated the statement, you can come in and you can import or export that. So now I need to convert that statement into a format that the electronic company can read. So I'm just going to hit export. It's going to ask me what format. So right now I'm going to do my Leads 98. I can say what client I want to do this for. So I'm just going to do Purdue Law. Say OK. Now I don't know that I had Purdue Law set up as task bill, but it'll still give me an export file that I can show you. And then I'm going to go back to the statement date. I know I have a statement on the 24th. And so this will be whatever statement date you've created it on. Now here's some subformats. So this subform right here is the standard. That's going to be 9 times out of 10 what you use. But remember I said sometimes you need to have some other formats in here. So this one, there would be a Typemetric subformat. There's a whole bunch of others too. So again, if the standard doesn't do what you need, we can also further define other things for this. Then you can tell whether you're going to use timekeeper number or initials. Depends again on what they're requiring. And then the timekeeper name can be first, last, or last, first. You also can do multiple clients. So if I had multiple matters, I could do those at once and then export them into a separate file. This is I'm just going to do one. I'll say OK. I'm going to create a test one here, and I'll just save it out on the desktop. And this is going to come out and just create my file for me. It's now been exported. I'm going to go out here, and I usually throw it to my desktop just because at that point it's easy for me to grab it to upload it to the website. So when I'm on the website, I just come right back out here to my desktop and grab the file. So here it is, and when I open it, it's not going to make any sense to me right now that much. It's just my leads file, and it has the invoice date, invoice number. And again, this is not wrapped. It's just all a bunch of text information. Down here is my actual data. I had one fee entry for $550. It has the date, the how many hours, the time, all of that on here, the description. This is what's going to be uploaded to them, and then that's going to be readable on their end at that point. So once you have this file saved, the next step would be to go out there and log into your portal for that insurance company, and then you're going to go ahead and browse to this file to upload this particular bill to be paid for that insurance company. So it's kind of sounds like a lot of steps, but it really isn't, and it's just tweaking. You know, I'll say probably at least 80%, 90% of the time, it fails the first time because we have to move things around. And as things evolve, insurance companies have more and more requirements of how they want things to be uploaded. We just tweak that a little bit. We might move things around, that kind of thing. I will show you just real fast. I forgot to show you on the client where you put those custom fields. So if I go over to the custom fields tab, a lot of you are familiar with this miscellaneous 1, 2, and 3, but several, nobody really knows what is this edit custom fields thing all about. And this is where I'm usually on the 00 matter or general matter, I'll come up with what I want these fields to be, and I'll name them what they need to be. So this number 1 might have a label of, client or invoice description, and I want that to be exactly what they're looking for. So on my little packet, back when I was setting up my task bill, you saw that they had, I'm going to go back to my configure, and if I say OK here, let's look at this. So see here, it's called invoice description and client/matter ID. Whatever they have named these items, I want that to be exactly the same. So when I come in here for my invoice description, this would be invoice _ description. And I would name that exactly the same thing. And then the text is going to be the exact thing that I want for that description to be. So sometimes this is final, and then I would just go ahead and save that field, and it puts it down here. Number 2 was the client matter ID, and I don't know exactly what it was, but if I say client, client/matter, and it's actually, I believe, underscore, but whatever it is, it's going to be shown on that packet. So if I have matter _ ID, and then I would put in whatever that is, 12345.600, whatever that client matter ID would be. Save the field, and then I would save the table, and now I've got that in so that that can be pulled out. So for every matter then, when I set up a task bill client, I need these fields in that matter 1 and 2, or custom field 1 and 2. And a lot of times, like on the 00, I might just create the labels and not have any text in there. So let's say I just have the labels here. Then I can actually share the table. So somewhere out there, I would set up my just my blanks, my invoice description and my client matter, and I would save that table out on some matter out there. Some firms will just have a whole number that's just rate tables for this, for custom fields. And they will have in there the name of the company, and then they'll have in what the requirements are for those fields. Then when I come in for like matter 1, if I go to edit custom fields, all I have to do is say use an existing table, and it will point me out here to all the ones I've already created, and I can pick that. And then I've already got information. Now this one already had it. It's a bad idea. Let me try a different one. But you can just save that, and then what will pop in is this, and then you just put the text in. That's all you would have to do. So I'm going to go into this 101 that has text in it too. Let me save this one, and we'll show you what a new one would be. So let's go out to matter 1. And so now if I go in and just use the existing table, I can use the original matter here of 100. And see, now I have just blank. So now I know I need an invoice description and a client matter, and so I can just come into number 1 and then put in the information, and I'm just saving it for this matter 1 now. And if I wanted to use it for matter 2, I would just go out and use existing table for 100.00. So just know you can create these things and leave them blank, and then all you'll have to do is come in and just add that and put in the actual information. But every matter that you're going to submit needs to have that. So that's it in a nutshell. I know it's kind of a lot of information, super fast, but it's a tricky process, and we're here to guide you all along the way. I do these a lot, so if you have any questions on that, somebody's starting to require that you submit things electronically, don't be afraid of it, and Tabs can handle it with that extra module.
It might be a lot of information in a short period, but for those people that are faced with this and have never heard anything about it, I think that was a great description of what they should expect.
Yeah, and a lot of companies are going to that electronic submission now, so don't let it be scary. It's no different in your billing. It's just in how we're going to upload it. So
just a little bit of setup, or maybe a lot of setup, but then it runs relatively smoothly after that. Well, mine will be kind of anticlimactic. I'm just going to show you how you can talk to yourselves and to your associates in a fee entry in such a way that other people will not be able to see it when they get their bill. So let's say, for instance, that we're going to enter something from Michael Larson for timekeeper number 1. We'll use what the system thinks is today's date, even though it's not. And I guess I have to have L codes now. And A101, and hours worked 0.3, and prepare for deposition. And then maybe you want to put a note to yourselves that you don't want the client to see. So something like only billing 2 hours, not 3, okay? It could be anything. And if you then highlight that bit of text and either right-click on it and say statement comment, or you can also choose statement comment up from the menu, you'll notice now that it's red. And the red indicates that that is a statement comment that will only show on a WIP report, a work in process report, or a draft statement, or here in the editing or display on screen of those fee transactions. So what you'll see, and by the way, I can be in this mode and type some more, and then what I do is I can simply turn it off if I want to type some more stuff that's not a statement comment. So it's kind of an on-off thing, or you can type what you want to be the comment, highlight it, and turn it on just for that selection. But if you're just typing and you want to all of a sudden have what you're typing be a statement comment, turn it on, type what you want to be a statement comment, and then turn it off. And so you'll notice that this part here is a statement comment. That's not. So if we go and print a bill, I'm going to cancel my spell check because they're all misspelled. If we go and print a bill now, for Mr. Larson, yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Get me out of here. We will get into the client manager. We'll print a draft bill. And we'll preview it. And this is what they look like. Here's one. Here's the one I just entered. They come out as being crossed out entries on the draft bill or on a work in process report. Yet if I were to print a final bill for this client, this crossed out part would not show. So it's a good way to communicate things to yourself, to help you remember things about a statement or about a particular fee entry, to the associates and partners in the firm that might be reviewing this bill, to help them understand something about this particular time entry, but not to the client. Very simple, very powerful tool to put those notes in there, get them onto the right place, but keep them off the final bill. And that's that. So now is the exciting point where I tell you what we're doing next month. Next month, we are talking about credit cards. Version 18.1 switched us over to something called ProPay, and it is very cool. It's a very quick approval process, very, very competitive rates that are the same across the board, very easy to use, very easy to set up. If you tried setting up credit card processing before, this is a breeze, and also supports e-checks. So Mary Jo is going to tell you all about that, how to do it, how to apply, what the rates are, things like that. And I'm going to talk about combining trust transactions, another new feature in version 18 that allows you to take multiple trust transactions, like perhaps EFTs and deposits, EFTs and checks, and combine them into one reconcilable entry. Now, Leanne is telling me that we have a question, so I'm going to let her go ahead and break in and ask that question.
Well, the question is a little off topic, but is there a way to put a period or capitalize across all fee entries at one time?
No, there isn't, is there, Mary Jo?
Across all the entries at one time. I'm not sure what you mean if you want all of them.
To kind of like convert them all to capital, all capital, or?
Yeah, I don't know about that all the way, across the board. I don't think so.
No, I'm afraid that built into the software, there's nothing that would. Well, just what if you right-click on that text? Yeah. Well, you couldn't make it all caps because all the capital letters would become little letters. So if you type something, let me take control for a second, Mary Jo. If you type something like this, we've all done this before. Oops. I can do this, really. Well, my keyboard doesn't allow me to do it. If you type, hold on. Yeah. I'm using an iPad keyboard and it's not allowing me to do it. If you type something like this and you're like, oh, I had my caps lock on, reverse case would work nicely for you because it would switch and it would take the little letters and make them big and the big letters and make them little. But it doesn't switch everything to uppercase or everything to lowercase. So I don't think there is a way to do that.
I was thinking there was something in I thought there was something in there that you could change, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Like where you could make it all caps, but it might be French, it might be something else. But I think the bottom line though, the question is, can you change all of the fee entries? Like if I were looking at all of these down here at once, and
if you're nerdy and you go into Practice Master and pull up a fee entry, you could write a workflow that would replace the field contents with an uppercase conversion of the field contents. And then you could go in client by client or even into the fee entry all at once and run that workflow against those fee entries. But that's getting way off topic because it's not something that's built into Tabs. It's not even something that's built into Practice Master. But Leanne or I or Mary Jo could write a workflow, or somebody who's nerdy and works in the firm might be able to write a workflow that would do that for you all at once for a certain matter, for a certain client, for all the entries for Bob. A lot of ways to do it, but it would involve a workflow and perhaps a filter. So that's all I'll say now. We do have a lot of videos out on the site about workflows, and so if you need more information about this, you can contact us offline. Next month, we're talking about combining trust transactions and credit cards. Version 15.3 is no longer supported. So how do you tell if you've got 15.3? You go into Help About, and it tells you what version of the software you have. This is 18.1. If you do need to get updated, you can give me a call or Bruce at the 800 number, 1-800-475-8104, and we'll be happy to tell you how to get updated. Maybe you're on maintenance and you just haven't installed your updates. Maybe you're not on maintenance and you need to get on maintenance or update the software. We can fill you in on that. And I do want to tell people that if we go out here to computersystems.com with an emphasis on that last S in the word systems, that you will be able to click on videos here and go to our video page and see that we have all sorts of videos. We have the 4 live events that we do every month. We have our Tabs virtual user group meeting that you're in now. Practice Master World Docs also have virtual user group meetings. I have my monthly Coffee Pot webinar series. Mary Jo records 3 different e-bites each month, one on Tabs, one on Practice Master, one on World Docs. And then we have the long format Paul and Mary Jo show, where either I or Mary Jo take a broader topic and go into great detail about it. These 2 shows being pre-recorded, and these 4 videos being live events that are also recorded. So if we click on Tabs, we'll find that it will tell us what the next webinar or what next virtual user group meeting is, give us links to register, tell us what the topics are, and then as we scroll down, we'll find recordings, not for this one because we're currently in post-production on it, but as we scroll down further, recordings for every Tabs or Practice Master or World Docs or Coffee Pot webinar that we've done in the past, going back years and years. So a lot of good information out there. You can search it using the search box. You can just browse through them using the browse mode. Please take advantage of it. We spend a good deal of time making this each month, and it's there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So everybody have a good rest of the afternoon and rest of the month, and we will see you in July. Thanks much. Bye-bye.